At the beginning, Prince Harry's story felt like something straight out of a movie. The rebellious royal, the one who never quite fit into palace life, finally broke free. He wasn't just following tradition or doing what the crown expected of him. Instead, he chose love. He chose Meghan, and at first the world couldn't get enough of it. The press called it bold, romantic, even revolutionary. Harry was painted as the prince who followed his heart, not his duty, and Meghan was seen as the modern partner who would shake up the monarchy in all the right ways. People cheered when they stepped away from their senior royal roles. It looked like they had found the ultimate freedom SUNY California, endless opportunities, and the chance to build a life entirely on their own terms. It was the ultimate happily ever after. But fairy tales rarely survive the harsh light of reality. The couple's golden beginning didn't last long. As the months rolled on, the shine began to wear off, and the cracks in their new life started showing. Instead of being remembered as the couple who redefined royalty, Harry and Meghan slowly became a global spectacle, less of a love story and more of a cautionary tale. And for Harry, the transformation has been especially brutal. What once seemed like a bold escape now looks like a free fall. He's no longer the cheeky, adventurous prince people rooted for. More and more, he's seen as a man who traded everything: his career, his family, even his peace of mind for a dream that never really delivered. The world expected a new chapter filled with freedom and happiness. Instead, what we've witnessed is a steady unraveling. And this is just the beginning of where Harry's story takes its darkest turn. When Harry and Meghan first struck their big money deals, it looked like they were untouchable. Spotify, Netflix, book contracts, the offers poured in like confetti at a royal wedding. People expected blockbuster documentaries, best-selling podcasts, and groundbreaking projects. For a while, it seemed like Harry and Meghan were about to build an empire bigger than the palace they left behind. But then reality hit. And it hit hard. Let's start with Spotify. Their podcast deal didn't just fizzle, it exploded in their faces. The executives didn't even try to soften the blow. They called the couple grifters. That's not just a corporate breakup line, that's a public slap in the face. Meghan's podcast tried to pull in celebrity guests, but even the star power couldn't save it. In the end, the show sank, and with it went Harry and Meghan's credibility as big-name media moguls. And then came Netflix. Remember that headline-grabbing $100 million deal? At first, it felt like they were unstoppable. But as time went on, it became pretty clear who Netflix was really interested in, and it wasn't Harry. Meghan's story, Meghan's perspective, Meghan's brand, those became the focus. Harry, meanwhile, got pushed to the background. And when he finally tried to step into the spotlight with his own project, it was almost laughable. His big idea? A documentary about polo? Yes, polo. And the title? Just polo. That's it. No clever hook, no creative spin. It's a word you'd find on a Ralph Lauren shirt tag. It was like the whole creative team went out for lattes and never came back. Unsurprisingly, nobody watched. Not even the people in the documentary cared enough to tune in. The pattern is obvious. Every time Harry tries to carve out his own lane, it crashes. Instead of being seen as a bold new voice, he looks more like someone desperately trying to prove he can stand on his own and failing. His projects don't make headlines anymore. They make punchlines. And as the career disappointments piled up, the public's patience wore thin. The prince, who was once celebrated for leaving behind tradition, now looked like a man who couldn't build a future outside of it. And the worst part, the world was just starting to notice how deep the spiral really went. If Harry's career problems weren't bad enough, his obsession with the courtroom has turned things from embarrassing to downright destructive. Instead of building a future, he's been waging endless battles that keep him chained to the past. Everywhere you look, there's another lawsuit with Harry's name on it. He's suing governments, newspapers, and practically anyone who dares challenge his version of events. The problem? He's not winning. In fact, the legal defeats are stacking up like discarded invitations to royal garden parties. Each case drains him of millions, not just financially, but also in credibility. One of the most baffling battles has been his fight over security in the UK. Remember, Harry voluntarily gave up his royal protection when he stepped away from the family. Yet now he insists he doesn't feel safe whenever he's back in Britain. It's like quitting your job and then demanding the company perks years later. It just doesn't work that way. Instead of gaining sympathy, he comes across as entitled and out of touch. And then there's the damage to his charities, the very projects that once defined him. Take Centerville, his pride and joy, named in honor of Princess Diana. It was supposed to be a shining example of his independence, a cause that showed he could stand tall outside the palace walls. But even that has fallen into chaos, internal disputes, accusations flying, and the public image of the foundation sliding downhill. The sad truth is this: Harry's name no longer inspires trust. It triggers skepticism. He was once the cheeky soldier prince who people loved for being down to earth. Now, he's painted as bitter, fragile, and desperate. And this collapse in public image isn't just happening in the UK. Across the Atlantic, Americans who once admired Harry for breaking free from the royals are starting to lose patience too. What was once framed as a courageous leap looks more like a self-inflicted spiral. By the time the lawsuits, the failures, and the charity setbacks piled up, Harry had burned through more than money. He burned through goodwill. The prince who once symbolized a new era of royalty now looked like a man drowning in his own choices, and things were only about to get worse. On paper, Harry's life in California should be the dream. A sprawling multi-million-dollar mansion in Montecito. Sunny beaches just a short drive away. Hollywood connections at his fingertips. Most people would kill for that kind of lifestyle. But when you strip away the luxury, what's left isn't a dream. It's a man who looks more like a guest in his own life than the prince he once was. Neighbors and photographers alike have noticed the same thing. Harry doesn't look like a man living his best life. He looks well domesticated. Instead of commanding attention, he's often trailing behind Meghan in public, carrying bags, holding umbrellas, or playing the quiet assistant while she commands the spotlight. Their body language tells the story without a single word. Meghan stands front and center, while Harry shuffles in the background. It's a stark contrast to the image the world once had of him. This was the soldier prince, the fun-loving royal who knew how to charm crowds with a smile and a joke. Now, he looks weighed down, almost invisible, as if he's living in Meghan's world instead of building one of his own. And Meghan's silence only makes it worse. While Harry battles lawsuits, public backlash, and the collapse of his projects, she stays quiet. No big defense of her husband, no grand effort to rebuild his image. Instead, she seems to be playing the long game, keeping her head down, letting Harry soak up the negative press while she carefully positions herself for her next chapter. Because for Meghan, the benefits of staying married to Harry are obvious. The titles, the royal connection, the relevance, it all keeps her in the spotlight. She gets the prestige without the palace rules, the fame without the responsibilities. And as long as Harry is by her side, she can maintain that balance. But emotionally, her silence suggests she's already checked out. The saddest part is that Harry doesn't seem to notice. He's still clinging to the idea of love, convinced that this marriage is his anchor, even as everything else around him crumbles. To him, Montecito is home. To Meghan, it's just a stage, a stepping stone to whatever comes next. And that whatever comes next isn't just speculation. The whispers around Hollywood suggest Meghan already has her eyes set on something much bigger, and it doesn't necessarily include Harry. While Harry spends his days tangled up in lawsuits and losing public sympathy, Meghan's path looks very different. She's been quiet, almost too quiet. And in Hollywood, silence usually isn't weakness. It's strategy. Behind the scenes, whispers are everywhere. Meghan's name keeps popping up in conversations about future projects. From a memoir that could rival Harry's Spare, to a Netflix rebrand that places her at the center of the story. She's also rumored to be eyeing the lifestyle market, carving out her own empire in wellness, branding, and endorsements. In other words, she's building her next chapter, one that doesn't necessarily include her husband. And then there are the bolder rumors. Some suggest Meghan has her sights set even higher, a reinvention that goes beyond being Harry's partner, maybe even beyond Hollywood itself. A billionaire husband? A new career as a global power player? It sounds outrageous, but if you followed Meghan's journey, it tracks. Every step of her life has been transactional, always trading up, always cutting ties when they no longer serve her. Just look at the pattern. Former friends, her half-sister, her father, even her first husband. When Meghan was done, she was done. No second chances, no lingering attachments. People who were once close to her vanished from her orbit, erased as if they never existed. And that's why so many people suspect Harry isn't an exception to this rule. He's just the latest in a long line of stepping stones. For now, Meghan still needs the marriage. The Duchess title, the royal connection, the prestige, it all boosts her relevance. But the more Harry stumbles, the more obvious it becomes that he's turning into baggage. And Meghan has never been one to carry weight that drags her down. When you watch the two of them in public, the imbalance is clear. Meghan walks with confidence, her eyes locked on the cameras, perfectly aware of her image. Harry, on the other hand, trails behind like a forgotten extra. It's not a partnership, it's a hierarchy, and the person in charge is not the prince. The harsh truth is this: Meghan is already writing her next chapter, Harry is just part of the current storyline, and if the whispers are true, she's preparing for a future where his role is cut altogether. But there's one thing standing in her way, a wall that even Meghan hasn't managed to climb over. And that wall is the royal family itself. If Meghan is busy plotting her next big move, the royal family is quietly making theirs, and it doesn't involve her. Inside the palace, the message is loud and clear. Reconciliation with Harry simply isn't possible as long as Meghan is in the picture. Royal experts haven't been shy about it. Ingrid Seward, one of the most respected voices in royal reporting, flat out said it. Meghan is the obstacle. William doesn't trust her. Charles is torn in two. And the courtiers, the advisors who keep the machine of the monarchy running, have essentially written Harry off. It's not just an awkward family rift anymore, it's a full-blown exile. The fallout from Harry's tell-all memoir Spare made things even worse. Attacking his brother, painting Kate as cold, and framing the entire royal family as villains in a Netflix-style drama, it wasn't just burning bridges, it was dropping dynamite and walking away. William, especially, has drawn the hardest line. He hasn't forgotten the betrayal, and he's not interested in pretending everything can be smoothed over with a handshake and a cup of tea. And it's not just the palace walls keeping Harry out. Public opinion has turned sharp too. In the UK, the curiosity that once surrounded Harry and Meghan has curdled into embarrassment and even hostility. People who once cheered his independence now roll their eyes at the contradictions, demanding privacy while selling every detail of his life, calling out the royals while clinging to the titles that keep him relevant. Even across the Atlantic, in Meghan's adopted Hollywood world, the shine is wearing off. At first, Americans loved the idea of a prince escaping the old traditions to live freely. But now, that image feels stale. Instead of a courageous couple, many see two people cashing in on drama and victimhood. The cheeky, fun-loving Harry that people adored, the army veteran who laughed at himself, the royal who never took life too seriously, feels long gone. In his place is someone who looks drained, bitter, and deeply unhappy, even while living in luxury. And the clock is ticking. Charles isn't going to be king forever, and William is waiting in the wings. Once the crown passes to him, the door to reconciliation slams shut. William isn't the type to drag out backroom negotiations or play the forgiveness game. If Harry is still tied to Meghan when that moment comes, it's over. Permanently, and Meghan knows it. Which is why, behind the scenes, she may already be hedging her bets, keeping the marriage alive just long enough to squeeze out whatever prestige and power she can before moving on to the next chapter. But here's the irony. The one person who still wants back in, who still longs for a connection, is Harry himself. And with every passing day, that desire collides with the harsh reality that the family and the public won't take him seriously as long as Meghan is by his side. Every story has a deadline, and for Harry, that deadline is approaching fast. Right now, the balance of power in the royal family is shifting, and he's running out of chances to fix the damage. King Charles may be on the throne, but his health is already a concern. The whispers are everywhere. How long will his reign actually last? Everyone knows what comes next. William isn't just Harry's older brother anymore. He's the heir, the future king, and the man who will have the final say about Harry's place in the family. And William isn't going to bend. He isn't the type to host secret tea sessions or drag out late-night talks in palace corridors. When he becomes king, the door to reconciliation won't just close, it will slam shut and lock. William's loyalty is to the crown, not to repairing a relationship that Harry himself blew up with Spare. With the Netflix docuseries and with years of public attacks, for Harry, that's the nightmare scenario. Because deep down, no matter what he says in interviews, it's obvious he still craves that connection. Every time he talks about his father, every mention of William, it's laced with regret. He wants the love back. He wants the brotherhood. But the hard truth is, he can't have both. He can't keep the California mansion lifestyle with Meghan, while also hoping for royal respect and family unity. Life doesn't work that way. And Meghan, she's no fool. She sees the same clock ticking. That's why she's playing it safe, keeping the marriage alive just long enough to cash in on every last bit of prestige. The Duchess title, the Royal Association, the global brand, all of it holds value as long as she's linked to Harry. But the moment William takes the crown, Harry's stock plummets, and Meghan's incentive to stick around disappears. That's why the pressure isn't just on Harry, it's suffocating him. Each day he stays, each lawsuit he files, each awkward public appearance, he drifts further from any chance at redemption. The world is watching him unravel in real time, and the longer he hesitates, the fewer options he'll have left. Because once William wears that crown, there will be no second chances. No olive branches, No quiet reunions behind closed doors. Harry's fate will be sealed, and if he doesn't act before that moment comes, he risks becoming exactly what Meghan's already treating him as. A footnote in her story. Harry is at a crossroads, and neither path is easy. If he stays, Meghan controls the ending. When she leaves, and history suggests she cast herself as the strong survivor of a toxic marriage. Netflix will love it, her memoir will sell, and Harry will be framed as the dead weight she cut loose. But if Harry files first, the story changes. He's no longer the abandoned husband, but the man reclaiming control. The media might rally behind him, and the public could see it as a redemption arc instead of a downfall. This isn't just about dignity, it's about survival. Professionally, financially, emotionally, Harry is sinking. A messy divorce now could be the reset he needs. If Meghan files first, he's the punchline. If he files, he's the headline. Even the royals might take notice. Ending the marriage could signal he's ready to rebuild. Maybe not restoring everything, but opening the door to healing. If he hesitates, he risks losing it all: his family, his reputation, and his last shred of dignity. Harry has one chance left to flip the script. The question is whether he'll take it before Meghan writes the ending for him.